Hello everyone, I'm Satyajit and welcome back to my channel. You're watching the Python course playlist and today's video is on exception handling. I hope you're already clear with the previous topics. If not, please go back to the videos in my playlist and study them. Link to the videos are already in the description below. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on my future videos. So let's get started. So far we have already covered the concepts like data structures, what are the various functions, lambda functions, normal functions, map, reduce, filter, how to deal with file handling operations and all those things. Today's topic is it's on exception handling. Now, as a developer, because ultimately we are trying to learn Python, so we can call ourselves as developers, right? So as a developer, we are bound to get a lot of errors, a lot of exceptions, a lot of issues while writing codes. So issues can be of different types. It can be a syntax error, it can be a runtime exception, it can be some other exceptions, right? And obviously, the community of Python is so great. In Google, if you just simply if you have an error or an exception in your piece of code, simply copy that and paste it in the Google. You will definitely find the solutions. Before that itself, the exceptions that Python throws are very easy to understand as well. But in case, in 10% of the cases, if you don't understand the exception, don't have to panic. Just simply copy the same thing and just try it on the Google. Definitely will get tons of articles and tons of Stack Overflow questions which already have the solutions to that particular issue. Okay, let's try to understand what are the different types of exceptions, what is error, and all those things, and how to handle such exceptions. Obviously, I will not be able to cover entirely because there are more than 1000 2000 errors that occur, but we'll not be talking about each one of them, right? Now again, it has to be like it's like a slow process. Once you start working on Python day by day, you might encounter a lot of errors, a lot of exceptions, and slowly with time, when the time passes on, definitely you will gain experience in fixing errors as well. Okay, don't have to worry about it. Now, error in Python can be of two types: exceptions and syntax errors. Right. Now, errors are nothing but problems in a program due to which the program will stop the execution. And what are exceptions? Raised when some internal events occur which changes the normal flow of the program. Okay, from the name itself, we can understand what is an exception. It's a abnormal condition or error that occurs during the execution of a program. While we are running our program, we encounter some problem, we encounter some issue, right? These are some of the common exceptions: name error, zero division error, indentation error, IO error, and there are a whole bunch of errors. Okay, now people who are already coming from a programming background, maybe having an experience in Java or C or C++, any of the programming languages, they must be already knowing what is try, what is catch, what is accept, finally, because all these keywords are used to handle the exceptions in real time. Okay, but yeah, people who are new don't have to worry about it. I'll just show you how to handle exceptions from scratch. So don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's try to directly jump onto the practicals part because yeah, theory is quite boring, and let's try to get our hands dirty, right? So we have exception handling. This file I have created for exception handling. Obviously, I'll be sharing all the files which I have covered in the entire tutorials. All the location will be present in the description. Okay, you can easily go through it and practice it. But yeah, the topics are not limited to what I'm teaching in the tutorials. There's a whole bunch of new topics, or you would say it's what I'm teaching is just a jinx, just the background of it, just to make you comfortable and make you understand about the topics. But yeah, when you further have an expertise on these particular topics which I'm teaching, in future your very next steps will be to deep dive into certain areas and get your hands dirty and learn by yourself, because teaching is just 20% and practice is almost 80%, right? So that's what I believe on. So let's get started. Enough of the words. Maybe we'll start with the basic syntax error. we'll see how syntax error occurs. So let's say I have defined a number equal to 100. If num is greater than 1999, print number, something, print hello world, else print by. Okay, I'm just a random command, just a random code. Num equals to this, if this, print this, else print this. Okay, now number is at 100, so obviously your if block will not be satisfied, so it will go to the else block and it will print by. But one thing is that I have missed out a colon here, right? So if I run this program, it is expected to for me to see an error, right? So let's see what kind of error we see. Obviously it will be an syntax error. Let's see. So you can see Python has thrown me syntax error, invalid syntax, and it also tells you in which line are you getting the error. Okay, if num greater than 1999, I'm getting an error in this line, line number 3. So 1, 2, and 3. So if I just fix this problem, I'll just fix it in the next line so that we understand how to fix it. Very simple, right? And yeah, if you just do a else block, maybe what I'll do is I'll have this code, but I will, instead of the tab, I'll have an indentation issue. Okay. I think Jupyter is taking care of the indentation part, but yeah, you can see here, I haven't provided the indentation. So it is throwing me indentation error, expected an indented block. Okay. Now, obviously to fix this issue, I'll just provide a tab here. That means I'm providing an indent, and yeah, so obviously number is 100. It's not satisfying in this particular clause. That's the reason it is going to the else block. Okay, so this is how you get your errors. Now, whenever you get an error in Python, definitely I would say 99% of the cases, it's quite easy for us to understand the error. In case you don't understand, simply copy this particular piece of code, go to Google and paste it out. You will definitely get the solution to it. Okay, don't have to worry about it. Now let's try to understand some different errors, some very common errors. Let's say I will talk about a mathematical error, which is a zero division error. So let's try to see uh, how to encounter this error. Let's say I have defined number equals to 100, new number equals to num by 0. That means I'm dividing it by 0. Print new number. You can see I'm getting an error, zero division error, division by 0. And this line is not even being called by this particular code. It has been, the execution has been stopped in line 3 itself. You can see it's pointing out this line has an issue, and it is the issue of zero division error because this number is not divisible by 0. Now, obviously, how to fix this problem? Again, it all depends upon what exactly you are trying to do. Maybe by hook or crook, if you are just concerned about getting an output, you want to divide it by 0 or to a very small number. Instead of 0, you can just write down a very small number and you will get an output, right? Because divided by 0 is nothing but infinity, and infinity is not a valid number in the terms of mathematics, right? That is the reason it is throwing an error of zero division error. Now let's jump on to some other examples. Maybe what we can do is, let's say I'll define a list A equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then print A of 0. Obviously it will print me 1 because the first element is 1, right? It will print me the second element. Now what about this one? Well, I don't have a 10th element, right? I don't have a 10th element. So it has 5 elements. So I can only print till 4. Now if I print 5 also, or beyond 4, anything, if I try to print it, it will throw me an error because my array is not that big. So it is throwing me an error, that index error. I don't have this 10th index, right? So list index out of range. Now how to get rid of this error? Maybe if you are working on a particular Python code, you don't want to see this error, you can easily skip this error by using a try and except block. Let me try to fix it out. List this. What I'll do is I'll define a try block. I'll pass indentation to it, and then I have except. That means I'm going to accept this particular error. In this, I will just pass index error, and there can be multiple except blocks as well. Okay, except index error, print an error has occurred. Okay, something like that. Now, if I run this code, I'm not expecting an error like this. I'm not expecting an exception. Okay, I'm expecting some text. Instead of that error, I'm expecting an error has occurred. Please look into it. Something like that. So that you understand that, okay, this is where I have written my debugger codes, my print statements. I can go to this particular location and see what is the error, right? And in real scenarios, it helps you because sometimes what happens is when you are throwing an exception like this, your code is halted, or you can say your code is stopped. It stops its execution there itself, right? But when you're handling your exceptions, like you don't stop your code there itself. So you have to handle your exceptions like this. Try except is one way to handle your exceptions. Apart from that, try catch, finally, there are a lot of things. We'll just try to cover it. Okay. Now, what is else clause? In Python, you can also use else clause on the try except block, which must be present after all the except clauses. The code enters the else block only if the try clause does not raise an exception. Okay. You can just simply try it out. You can also have an else block, but yeah, I'll just skip it for now. Apart from that, let's try to fix this zero division error. Okay, what I'll do is I'll define a new code. Maybe what I'll do is I'll define a function division by 0 ab try c equals to a plus b a minus b. Okay, I'm just writing out a function c equals to a plus b and a minus divided by a minus b. Okay, now obviously when a and b is same, it's like the denominator is 0, right? A b is cancelled out, so it will throw me in zero division error. So I'm trying to fix that particular error in this code. So except, I'll just copy paste this code. Except this, sorry, I just ran it, my bad. Print, ignore this error. Okay, after that, else print c. Okay, so I have defined the function. Let me call the function. So let me just write it down. Driver program to call the function. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just first call 2 and 3. Let's run it. My output is -5, which is good. Let me do it in a separate line. That would be better for us. Okay, driver program. Okay, and next will be, obviously I'll pass same numbers. So instead of the zero division error, it should print me something. Obviously it will not print you the error. It will print you that ignore this error, right? If I run this, it is printing me ignore this error. Okay, now only if your try block is not having an error, only then it will go to your else block, else not. Okay, now apart from that, let's also try to understand what is finally block. Now let's try to understand what is finally. Python, not even Python, we also have finally in Java as well. I'm not pretty sure about other programming languages because I only know Java and Python. Java has Python keyword, so do Python has. Okay, let's try to understand what is Python. What is finally keyword in Python. Now Python provides a keyword called as finally, which is always executed after try and except blocks. The finally block always executes after normal termination of try block or after try block terminates due to some exception. So finally is some block which is executed by hook or crook. Even if you have an exception, even if you don't have an exception, your finally will be executed. Okay, so let me write down a code to show how it works. K equals to print K except I just accept zero division error print. Let's just write it down. Can't divide by zero. After accept, we can have our finally block. Finally print. This is always executed. Okay. Now if I run this program, you can see that by hook or crook, even if there is an error, your finally block is still executed. So I'll just write down some comments here so that it will be easier for you to understand. This block is always executed regardless of the exception generation. Okay, I think that should be easier for us to understand. And before the except, let me add a comment handles, or else maybe I'll just do it here. Handles zero division exception. Okay, I think this would be easier for us to understand. So this is how your finally block is written, and you can try it out on different occasions. Finally block is anyways executed even if you don't have an exception. Okay, so based on your program, maybe if you want to execute some piece of code by hook or crook, even if there is if you even if you don't parse through a for loop or a if clause or something like that, if you want to execute it by hook or crook, you can either pass through, you can either make it like possible in the finally block, you can pass it in the final block. Okay, so I think that's it for the exception handling part. I don't think we have any topics left for exception handling. Maybe okay, there is one more concept called as raising an exception. Let me just give you some examples so that you also understand what is how do we raise an exception. Okay, now what is raising an exception? The raise statement allows the programmer to force a specific exception to occur. The sole argument in raise indicates the exception to be raised. This must be either an exception instance or an exception class. Exception class is nothing but a class that derives from exception. Okay, so let's try to write down a small piece of code so that we understand how to raise an exception. Raise name error found, obviously raising an error. Um, Except name error, print an exception occurred. Let me run this. Okay, you can see that okay, my exception is not raised. Maybe what we can do is okay, now you can see that my bad. Okay, so my bad. I had called the raise function after the print statement. So yeah, this is how you have to do it. Now what I have done is I have a try block. I have raised a name error exception. Then I have used your except keyword, except this name error, print an error, an exception occurred, and then I'm raising it. So once I'm raising it, what is happening is initially it is getting executed. Initially, this piece of code is getting executed. So I'm getting an exception occurred, which is my this print statement, and then I'm raising an error. Okay, so I'm printing what I'm about to print and then raising an error. So when I'm calling this raise error, I'm getting the name error, name error, name error found. Okay, so the output of the above code will simply be an exception, an exception occurred statement, but a runtime error will also occur in the last due to raise statement because we have used raise here. Okay, so the output on your command line will look like this. So that's it for the exception handling part. You can obviously jump on with various other topics and see how to get rid of various exceptions, how to handle exceptions in different ways. I think for the basics to the intermediate level, that I think that should be more than enough for the time being. Okay, thank you guys. Next class will be on iterators and generators, and then we will be covering Python for data science, which is going to be the most important topic. Thank you for watching my playlist. Thank you for following my videos. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe the channel. And yeah, please keep supporting. Thank you.